திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். ஊழியர்கோன் வெப்பொழித்த புகழியர்கோன் கடல் போற்றி, ஆழிமிசை கல்மிதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரான் அடி போற்றி, வாழி திருநாவலூர் வன்றொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி, ஊழிமலி திருவாத ஊரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். So today we are continuing our discussion of Sambandar's Tiruvannamalai padigam, padigam 1.10. Last time we had met, we had seen the first 3 verses, and we are going to continue from the 4th verse. So just a recap, this padigam was sung by Sambandar when he was on top of the Arayanallur hill, where there is a temple. And from there he could see Tiruvannamalai, which is about 30 kilometers from that place. And so with his divine vision, or what we call in Indian languages as Jnana Drishti, he was able to see Tiruvannamalai from there. And Tiruvannamalai appeared to him in the form of Shiva. That's what sacred records in Periya Puranam. And immediately Sambandar sang this padigam from there itself. And then he reached Tiruvannamalai, so that would have taken him another 1 or 2 days. So in this padigam, he is singing it in the meter, tānādana, 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 tānā. That is the rhythm. So all the songs, if you see the words, they will flow in that rhythm. And this is a very famous sthalam, as you all know, and it is also a very famous padigam. So you should memorize at least the first verse. Try to memorize the first verse, or if you can sing, learn to sing the first song at least. So now we are going to the 4th song. And Chakravarti, you can read with me.
Yes,
udirum-mayir,
udirum-mayir,
iḍu-veṇ-talai,
iḍu-veṇ-talai,
kalanāvula,
kalanāvula,
gellām, edirumbali,
uṇalāgavu,
dallāl,
dallāl,
mudiruñjaḍai,
yiḻaveṇbiṛai,
mudimēlkoḻa,
அடிமேல்,
அதிரும்-கடல், அடிகட்கு இடம், uṇṇāmulai அதுவே. Good. So in this song, what Sambandar is talking about is describing Shiva's attributes. He is describing the Bhikshatana form, and the fact that he is riding on a bull, the fact that he is wearing a crescent moon. So he is describing all these attributes. The Shiva's holy form is describing that holy form, and says that Swami is dwelling in Tiruvannamalai. And he doesn't say anything else. So it's a statement, sort of. He's describing Shiva and says that Shiva is dwelling in Tiruvannamalai. And as it is part of a padigam, we also have to look at other points that he has mentioned in other songs when you're looking at this context. So here there is no, it simply sounds like a statement. Shiva dwells in Tiruvannamalai. Now if you look at the songs that he has sung, the first 3 songs, the first song he says, uṇṇāmulai தொழுவார் வினை வழுவா வண்ணம் அருமே. Those who worship Tiruvannamalai, their karma will be destroyed. Then in the second song he says, பூமாங்கடல் துணை சேவடி தினைவார் வினை இலரே. Those who meditate on his holy feet, they will be free of their karma. In the third song he says, காலன் வலி தொலை சேவடி தொழுவாரான புகழே. Those who worship the feet that kicked Yama, they will have fame. So all those statements or all those upadesams we have to associate with this and understand. So he is describing in the 4th song, Shiva dwells in Tiruvannamalai, and if you worship him, you will be free of your karma. That we have to understand. So now we look at the phrases. Udirum-mayir yiḻaveṇbiṛai kalanā. He is describing Shiva's Bhikshatana form, where he carries Brahma's skull as his begging bowl and goes around begging for food. That is a very famous story, and we know that Dwarikavanam story, where the rishis of Dwarikavanam, they believed in the Vedas and Karma Kandam and all that, but they didn't really say that, hey, we don't need a god. If we do the Vedas and we do the karmas that are described in the Vedas, we will get all the things that we want. So who needs a god? So they disregard the god part and they just worship on they just stay with that Vedas and the karmas that are mentioned. So Shiva tries to teach them a lesson. So he goes there as a Bhikshatana. Bhikshatana means like a beggar with a begging bowl in his hand. And he goes in the farm, we all know that, he goes in the farm without any clothes. Like a young mendicant, he goes there with a begging bowl, Brahma's skull as a begging bowl, and he wears a snake around his waist. And then all the women of all the wives of the rishis, they fall for him. And the rishis get upset. They get angry. Who is this guy? And he's making our women fall for him. So they do what is known as abhichara homam. And all kinds of things come out of that. And then they send them on Shiva. And then Shiva wears them on his body as ornaments. The snakes, whatever, right? The deer, the snakes, everything. So that Bhikshatana form is what is being described here. Is going around with Brahma's skull as the begging bowl. And the skull is a hairless bony skull. That is what is described in the first phrase. Udirum-mayir iḍu-veṇ-talai kalanā. Kalan means a vessel. Here it means a bowl. So Shiva is having a bowl. And what is that bowl? It is a skull. Talai. Talai is head or skull. And that skull is white. Veṇ-talai. White skull. And that skull is free of any hair. Right? When the skull is dried up, the skull dries up, the hair falls off. So Mayir is hair. Udirum is falling off. So udirum-mayir veṇ-talai means the white skull with no hair. That skull, iḍu kalana. Iḍu is to put. Where when you put food, that put is called, in Tamil it is iḍu. In Telugu it may be pettu, right? So that udirum-mayir iḍu-veṇ-talai kalana means the white skull without any hair, he is having it as his begging bowl, where people put their food in. With that begging bowl, he is going around the world seeking alms. Ulagellam. Ulagellam means, ulag is lokam, the world. Ellam means all over the world, in all the worlds. That kind of a context. Ulagellam, in all the worlds, everywhere in the world. Edirumbali uṇalāgavu. Pali is a Sanskrit word, bali, which means food. And when somebody, comes for bhiksha, they stand outside the house. They may, as they are coming in the street, they will be singing the Lord's name, Lord's glory, or they may come in front of the house and they say, Om Namah Shivaya, something like that they will say. And the people in the house, they will come outside and offer him food even before he asks for anything. They don't ask usually. They just come outside and people of the house will go out and offer him food. So that edirumbali means, edirdal means to come outside to meet in front. Bali. Bali is the food. uṇṇālāgavu. That is the food he has. You know, what food does Shiva eat? He doesn't eat anything. He doesn't need to eat anything. So, but as if he is hungry, he comes with a begging bowl, asking for alms or seeking alms. And those who are in the house, they come outside and offer the food. Edirumbali uṇṇālāgavu. Uṇal is eating or food. Agavam is as food. So, what is the food that he has is the bhiksha that people offer. So, basically the first 1.5 lines is describing the Shiva's bhikshatana form. That is one aspect of Shiva. And another aspect is eruvaṇḍalai. Erudu is bull. Eruvadu is to mount or to climb. So, Shiva rides on a bull. Vrishambha Vahanam. That's what is describing. So, he holds a begging bowl of Brahma's skull and he rides on a bull. In addition to this, allāl, in addition to these, mudiruñjaḍai, yiḻaveṇbiṛai, mudimēlkoḻa. So, Shiva is wearing a crescent moon on his head. That's what this phrase is describing. Biṛai means crescent moon. That comes in many songs. You know, we have seen Sundarar's first padigam, Pitta Pirai Sudi, where the Pirai is crescent moon. Pirai Sudi is one who is wearing the crescent moon. So the crescent moon, it is bright. Veṇbiṛai. Veṇ means white, but it also means shiny, bright, etc. Yiḻa is young. So the crescent moon is a very young moon because it's a growing moon. It is in the very first phase. You know, we call it as kalai. So the moon has many kalais, right? Every day it will grow one kalai. It will become one phase, two phase, 3 phase, 4 like that. Moon grows every day, little by little, and then on full moon day it becomes full. So this moon is a young moon because it is in the beginning stages of growing. So that yiḻaveṇbiṛai, that young crescent moon, where is he wearing? He is wearing it on top of the jata. Mudiruñjaḍai. Sadai is jata, the matted locks of Shiva. And he says mudiruñjaḍai. Mudir is to fully grown. Right? The moon is very young. It is not fully grown yet. It is very young, baby moon. But fully grown matted locks. Mudiruñjaḍai. So in poetry, they call it one of those alankarams, where we have words that mean opposite things, antonyms, you put them close to one another. That's one of the ornaments used in poetry. So mudiruñjaḍai, fully grown jata, yiḻaveṇbiṛai, very young moon. Mudimēlkoḻa, mudi is head. So Shiva is wearing on his head, on top of the matted locks, young crescent moon. So, Chandrasekhara. That is a simple summary of that whole phrase. Then, adimēl, adirum-kazhal, adigal. Adi is pāḍam. Adimēl, on top of his pāḍam. Adirum-kazhal. Kazhal, we have seen it in other songs. It is an ornament that men wear around their ankles. And that is an ornament that is supposed to symbolize valor. And this kazhal, like the nupuram or the anklet that women wear, it will make sound. Because it will be, there are a lot of bells or tinkling things around it. So all those bells will make noise. Or it will have tubular thing and it will have gems inside that will make noise. So adirum is to make noise. Kazhal is the ornament that men wear around the ankles. So adimēl adirum-kazhal. Shiva is wearing this kind of anklets on his ankles. Adigal. Adigal in Tamil means Swami. Adi is Pādam. Adigal is referring to Swami. So, the Swami, which is the Lord Shiva, who has a white skull as his begging bowl, who seeks alms, who rides on a bull, who wears a young crescent moon on his fully grown matted locks, who is wearing anklets that make noise, that Shiva, his place, Adigatki Idam, that Shiva's place is uṇṇāmulai aduve. That is uṇṇāmulai, Tiruvannamalai. So, summary, Shiva dwells in Tiruvannamalai, and Shiva has a begging bowl of white skull, and he rides on a bull, he wears a crescent moon, and he is wearing a kadal. So, that Shiva is dwelling in Tiruvannamalai, and we should worship that Shiva in Tiruvannamalai by physically going there and worshipping, by thinking of him from wherever we are and worshipping him. And if we do that, our karma will be destroyed. So that is the summary of 4th verse. So Chakravarti, you can read the whole verse again.
Yeah. udirum-mayir iḍu-veṇ-talai kalanā gellām edirumbali uṇṇālāgavu eruvathu allāl mudiruñjaḍai yiḻaveṇbiṛai mudimēlkoḻa adimēl adirum kalal adigatku idam uṇṇāmulai aduve.
Very good. Any questions or comments? We can talk. If not, we will go to the 5th verse. And Pavani, you can repeat with me. Maravam silai.
Yes, sir. Maravam silai.
Tharalam migu.
Tharalam migu.
Mani uṇḍuveṇ aruvi.
Mani uṇḍuveṇ aruvi.
Aravam saya.
Aravam saya.
Muravam padum.
Muravam padum.
uṇṇāmulai annal.
uṇṇāmulai annal.
Uravam sadai.
Uravam sadai.
Ulavum punal.
Ulavum punal.
Udan avadum orar.
Udan avadum orar.
Kuravam kamal.
Kuravam kamal.
naruமென்குழல்.
naruமென்குழல்.
உமை புல்குதல் குணமே.
உமை புல்குதல் குணமே.
Good. So in the 5th verse, he is again describing Shiva's holy form, and is also describing Tiruvannamalai, the natural beauty of Tiruvannamalai. And he says the Shiva dwelling in Tiruvannamalai, has Ganga on his matted locks, and in spite of that, he is hugging Uma Devi. Is that proper? That's how he's having a rhetorical question. So it's describing Shiva, praising him, but in a sort of a jovial form. Now we will look at the words and meaning. The first 1.5 lines. Maravam silai tharalam migu mani uṇḍuveṇ aruvi aravam saya muravam padum. All these are descriptive phrases describing Tiruvannamalai. Now these words, are not very common. Some of these words are not common. Some are common, but some of them are not common. Maravam, silai, tharalam, migu, mani. These are 4 objects. Maravam is one thing, silai is another thing, tharalam is third, mani is the 4th. And this is describing the Vel Aruvi. Aruvi in Tamil means waterfall. And we have seen that in other songs, I think. Aruvi means waterfall. So Tiruvannamalai is a big hill. Those of you who have been to Tiruvannamalai, you know that it's about roughly about 2,500 feet tall, and it's at the base. It is, if you do the Girivalam, if you go around the hill, it's about 14 kilometers circumference on the base. So it's a big hill, and in those days, 1600 years ago, we can imagine that that was fully covered with trees and forest. And during rainy season, when there is a lot of rain, there will be a lot of streams flowing down the hills. And he is describing that kind of a scenario. He is describing that scene where there is a lot of streams flowing down the hill, falling down from the hill as waterfalls. And these waterfalls, obviously these streams that are running from the hills will bring wood, other things along. They will all be coming in the water stream. So he is describing what these waterfalls are bringing from the hills. Maravam. Maravam is a name of a tree. In Tamil they call it Kadamba Maram in common Tamil. And Kadamba Maram is actually the Salavriksham in Madurai. Madurai, they will also call it as a Kadamba Vanam. And the Kadamba Maram has a flower, and that flower is called Kadapambu or Kadapamalar. And that flower is one of the flowers that Murugan wears. Kanda, Kadamba, Kadirvela, you would have seen these kind of names in the Murugan songs, in Tirupugazha or other songs. And so that Kadamba Maram, that is called Maravam. Silai is another Maram, another tree, commonly known in Tamil as Vagai Maram. Tharalam is pearls. Money is gems. The various gems, right? Whether it is emerald or jade or ruby or whatever, diamond, all these kind of gems. These are all basically natural minerals, right? The rocks. So he is describing that these waterfalls that are bringing fast flowing water from the hills, they are bringing all kinds of material, the various kinds of trees and pearls and gems. It is all, they are all coming down the stream. That's what he's saying. The waterfalls, the streams are bringing all those things from the hills. uNNāmulai. Undu means to push or to carry. So the water streams are carrying all these things. And the waterfalls are falling from various heights. And when the water is falling from a height onto some, it will either fall into a pool of water in the base, or it will be falling onto other rocks. So regardless of what it is falling on, whether it is a pool of water or whether it is falling on a rock, it will make noise. And Aravam Saya. Aravam is sound in Tamil. It has two meanings. One meaning is snake, another meaning is sound. Here in this context, Aravam Saya means they are making noise, making sound, and that sound, because of the wind blowing, and the stream will not flow steady form, right? It'll make some kind of rhythmic sounds. If you listen to the waterfalls, the sounds that you hear around the waterfalls, you will hear some kind of rhythmic sounds. So that sound from the waterfall sounds like beating of drums. Muravam padum. Muravam is drum, a kind of a drum. So the waterfalls are making noise, and that noise is sounding like beating of drums. And where do you hear this? You hear this in Tiruvannamalai. So Tiruvannamalai is surrounded by waterfalls, where the waterfalls are making noise as if like beating of drums. That kind of Tiruvannamalai is this hill, and in that Tiruvannamalai, Shiva is dwelling. uNNāmulai, Annal. Annal means the Lord. Peruman is a common word in Tamil. Annal is also a word that is commonly used in Thevaram. Means the Lord. So the Lord of Tiruvannamalai, and what is he doing? What has he got? Uravam sadai ulavum punal udanavadum orar. Uravam means strong. Punal means water. Uravam punal means Ganga river, the strong currents of Ganga river. We know that Ganga river which fell from the heavens, and Shiva spread out his matted locks and trapped the Ganga river in his matted locks. And this story is very commonly referred in Thevaram, and we all know the story. In case, if you want a refresher, this is the context story of Bhagiratha, and his ancestors were burnt to ashes by a rishi because he got angry and he looked at them and they all got burnt to ashes for their sin that they committed. So, the Bhagiratha wanted to expiate their sins, and then he was told that Ganga river should be brought, and then he can do some penance and all that. So he does a lot of worship. He does a great tapas, and then he gets the boon that Ganga river will come to the earth from the heavens. But the Ganga river says, if I come with my speed, the earth will not withstand my speed. So pray to Shiva so that he can make me come gently. So Bhagiratha does penance for Shiva, and then Shiva appears and grants him the wish. So then Ganga river starts to come from the heavens, and Shiva spreads his matted locks out. Ganga river thinks that for whatever reason Ganga wants to go very fast to show her might. Of course, she falls with all her might into Shiva's matted locks, and then she gets trapped in the matted locks. Whatever she tries, she cannot come out of the matted locks. So she is trapped and she is running around the matted locks, but she cannot come out. Of course, Bhagiratha now got stuck. He wanted Ganga river to come down, but now Ganga came from the heavens but got trapped in Shiva's matted locks. So he again prays to Shiva, and then Shiva lets a little bit of Ganga out. That's what flows in on the earth as Ganga river now. Anyway, so that Ganga river is in Shiva's matted locks. That's what he is saying. Uravam punal, the strong Ganga river, sadai ulavum. Sadai ulavum means it is roaming around in the matted locks. So sadai ulavum, uravam punal, udanāvadum orar. Udan means together, along with. Orar means he doesn't think. So the Ganga river is on his matted locks, and he doesn't think about it. Means Ganga river, even though it's a river, it is also figuratively described as a beautiful woman, right? All rivers are considered as women. So Sambandar is saying that there is a woman on his matted locks, and she is looking at him, and in spite of that, Shiva doesn't care about it, and he goes and hugs Uma. Kuravam kamal narumenkudal umai. So Umai is Uma. Kuravam kamal. Kuravam is a flower that she is wearing on her matted locks. Kuravam kamal means fragrant kuravam flower. Narumenkudal. Kudal is woman's hair, and that hair is menkudal. Men means soft tresses. Nar means fragrant. So Uma has soft, fragrant tresses on which she is wearing kuravam flower. That Uma, pulgudal guname, pulgudal means to embrace. So Shiva is embracing that Uma when, without bothering about Ganga looking at him from his matted locks. Is that gunam? Is that the right conduct? Is it appropriate that he does such a thing? He asks us a rhetorical question. Of course, we know the philosophy and the tattva meanings, but the same thing he is describing in a rhetorically, in a humorous way. So now, Pavani, you can read the whole verse again.
Yes. One minute. Maravam silai, taralam migu, mani undu vel aruvi. Aravam seya, muravam படும் அண்ணாமலை அண்ணாள். உரவம் சடை உலவும் புனல் உடன் ஆவதும் ஓரார். குரவம் கமழ் நறுமென் குளில் உமை புல்குதல் குணமே.
Good. Is there any questions? We can talk now. If not, we will go to the 6th verse. Mother, you can repeat with me.
Okay.
Perugum punal uṇṇāmulai பிறைசேர் கடல் நஞ்சை பருகும் தனை துணிவார் பொடி அணிவார் அது பருகி கருகும் மிடறு உடையார் கமழ் சடையார் கழல் பரவி உருகும் மனம் உடையார் தமக்கு உருநோய் அடையாவே. Good. So in this song is again describing Shiva's holy form, his attributes, and says those who worship him with a melting heart, they will be free from illnesses, they will be free from births. Urugum manam means, in the last line, urugum manam means melting heart. Urugudal is to melt, to become soft, and the manam is mind or heart. So urugum manam udayar, those devotees who have melting heart in devotion with love, tamak, to them, urunoi adaya. Urunoi, noi is commonly we refer to as illness. Urunoi is great illness. Adaya means they will not touch them, they will not have that kind of problems. So urunoi typically mean bodily, what the various kind of illnesses that affect our body. We can assume that to be that, or you can also assume even the illness that is called birth. In Tamil they call it Piravipini. In Sanskrit they call it Bhavarogam. The birth itself is called a disease or illness, not disease, illness. Because that never goes away. We finish one birth, we get another birth. So that's a problem that never goes away. Anyway, so coming back to the first line, he is saying Perugum Punal uṇṇāmulai. So the Tiruvannamalai has a lot of water. Punal is water, Perugudal is to have in plenty. So Perugum Punal uṇṇāmulai, the Tiruvannamalai where there is plenty of water. We have seen in the previous song where he is talking of the streams flowing down the hills. That's one example. And of course there are tanks and ponds and other things around Tiruvannamalai. So there is a lot of water in Tiruvannamalai. In that Tiruvannamalai is Shiva. And that Shiva, what is he got? He is describing two things. He is talking of his Neelakantam. He is talking of him wearing holy ash. Viraisser kadal nanjai parugum thanai tunivar. Tunidal is to be brave. Tunivu is bravery. Tunivar is he was brave enough to do something. And what was that? Viraisser kadal nanjai parugum thanai tunivar. Nanju is poison. Kadal nanju means the poison that arose in the sea. This is and the Devas and Asuras were churning the Milky Ocean. The Halahalam poison came. That's what it is referring to. Kadal nanju. And that kadal is describing as a Piraiser kadal. Pirai is crescent moon. So the crescent moon that joins the sea. Again, it's a way of saying that, we see the sun or moon rising from the sea and setting in the sea. If you are in the coast, you can see that early in the morning, the sun will rise from the sea, and in the evening, the sun will set in the sea. Similarly, the crescent moon will rise from the sea or will set in the sea. So that's what he is describing. That sea where the crescent moon is joining, that sea, the poison that arose in that sea, that poison, parugum-tanai tunivar. He was brave enough to consume it. Parugudal is to consume, to drink, to eat, to consume. That is called parugudal. Parugum-tanai. Tanai means is a word word that means the extent. He was brave. He was brave to the extent of consuming that poison of the sea. That's what means parugum-tanai tunivar. He was that much brave, and because of that, what happened? Parugi udirum-mayir. He drank that poison, and then because he drank it or he consumed that poison, his throat became dark. Midaru means throat, kantam in Sanskritam. In Tamil it is midaru, the throat. Karugum means it becomes darkened. So, parugi karugum midaru. He consumed that poison, and because of that, the throat got darkened. That throat he has, midaru udayar. So, he has a neelakantam. And then, podi anivar. In the middle of the second line, there is a phrase called podi anivar. Because it is poetry, that word got put in the middle of that second line to fit the meter. But for interpretation, it is best if you interpret it this way. Varaisir kadal nanjai, parugundane tunivar, parigi karugum midar udayar, podi anivar, kamal sadayar. If you interpret that way, there will be more appropriate sequence for interpretation. Podi anivar. Podi means dust. Here it means holy ash. So Shiva is wearing the holy ash on his body. Podi anivar. Then kamal sadayar. Sadai is jata. Kamal is to be fragrant. Kamal sadayar means he has got a fragrant jata. Because Shiva is, is holy form, he will be fragrant. He doesn't have to, the jata will have natural fragrance. Not the jata doesn't become fragrant because he's wearing fragrant flowers. He's wearing fragrant flowers, but even otherwise, by nature, because it is Shiva's jata, it will be fragrant. Kamal sadayar, kadal paravi. Kadal is, we talked about it, the ornament that is worn around the ankles, and that by association, it refers to the padam, the holy feet. Shiva's holy feet, paravi. Paravi means worshipping, to do stuti, to praise. Worshipping his holy feet. Urugum manam udayar. The devotees who have got melting hearts. To those devotees, tamakku. To those devotees, urunoi adaya. Urunoi adayave, the A in the end is filler sound. In most Thevaram songs, you will notice they will end with the A sound. Adayave. In that A sound, in most songs it is a filler sound, because these are all songs which are intended to be sung musically, and Sambandar sang them musically. Since he sang them musically, you had at the end of the song, you would have said that kind of thing. So the A is the musical filler sound at the end of the songs. Urunoi adaya. The big illnesses will not affect them. They will be free of those illnesses. So summary, Tiruvannamalai is full of water. There's plenty of water in Tiruvannamalai. And Shiva was brave enough to consume the great poison. And because he consumed it, his throat became dark. And he wears holy ash. He has fragrant jata. And the devotees who worship his holy feet with melting hearts, they will be free of their great illnesses. They will be free of all illnesses. That is the summary of the 6th song. So, Madhuri, you can repeat the whole verse again.
Okay. பெருகும் புனல் அண்ணாமலை பிறை சேர் கடல் நஞ்சை பருகுந்தனை துணிவார் பொடி அணிவார் அது பருகி கருகும் மிடறு உடையார் கமல் சடையார் கழல் பரவி உருகும் மனம் உடையார் தமக்கு உருநோய் அடையாவே.
Very good. So, Atmarama, you can read the 7th verse with me.
Okay.
Kari kalana kudar kolvana கழுது ஆடிய காட்டில்
கழுடு அடிய கட்டில்
நரியாடிய நகுவெண்தலை உதை உண்டு அவை உருள எரியாடிய இறைவர்க்கு இடம் இனவண்டு இசை முரள அரி ஆடிய கண்ணாளொடும் அண்ணாமலை அதுவே. Good. So in this song, Sambandar is describing the cremation ground scenario. Right? There's a scene. He is describing the cremation ground, and in that cremation ground, Shiva is dancing. That is what he is describing in the first 2.5 lines. And then in the second half of 3rd line and the 4th line is describing Tiruvannamalai, which is where bees are buzzing around, and where he is dwelling with Uma. Again, this is a statement, and we have to associate the previous song's benefit, right? What we should do. The devotees should worship Shiva there, and they will get the benefits that was described in the earlier songs. So the cremation ground, typically we say in the cremation ground, the Bhuta Ganas will be dancing. Okay? The Bhutam, the word for Bhutam here in the song is Kaludhu. In the first line, there is a word called Kaludhu. Kaludhu means pay in Tamil, or Bhutam or ghosts, Bhuta Ganas in English or Sanskritam. So these Bhutams are roaming around the cremation ground, and they are often described as they are eating the dead bodies and so on and so forth. That's how they will have the description of those Bhutams. So that is what is describing. Kari kalana. Kari means dark or burn. So the Bhutams are walking around the cremation ground where various fires are burning, right? So the feet of the Bhutams are darkened because of that fire. That's what that first phrase is. Kari kalana. The Bhutams have dark feet. Kari is dark, kal is feet, legs. So Kari kalana is dark legs. The Bhutams have dark legs because they are walking around in the fire there. And kudar kolvana. Kudar means the intestines. Kolvana means they are eating. So the Bhutams are described as eating the bodies of the dead. So that phrase Kudar Kolvana means they are eating the intestines of the dead bodies. That's the meaning of that phrase. Kaludhu is the ghost. So these are the ghosts in the cremation ground that are with the dark legs, and they are eating the dead bodies. They are roaming around. Adiya Katil. Adudal in Tamil has several meanings. It can mean dance. It can also mean roam about. It can also mean to bathe, etc. But here, Kaludhu Adiya Katil means the Kadu is forest, but here it stands for what in Tamil is known as Sudugadu. Sudugadu is the cremation ground. So Katil here means in the cremation ground. Kazhudu Adiya Katil, in the cremation ground where the ghosts are roaming around. In that cremation ground, there is one description of the cremation ground. The second line describes another aspect of the cremation ground. Because these cremation grounds are usually away from the outskirts of the villages where people live. You know, in those days, there will be village where people will be living, and surrounding the village you will have farms, fields, rice fields, and at the outskirts of the limits of the rice fields you will have forests. So the cremation ground will be in the area that is bordering the forest, away from the rice fields, away from the village, far away in the outskirts near the forest. So in the forest obviously we will have wild animals. So Nari is fox, or in India they will also call it a jaka. Fox, we can use it as an example. So Nari Adiya. So the foxes will be roaming around, and the skulls will be lying around in the cremation ground, right? There are many skulls that are lying around, and playfully the fox will kick the skull, and the skull will roll away. That scene he is describing. Nari Adiya udirum-mayir. Talai is skull, udirum-mayir is white skull, udirum-mayir is to smile. Udirum-mayir means smiling white skull. Why is it called smiling? Is the skull will have the teeth, and the teeth will appear as if the skull is smiling. That's one example. And the udirum can also mean bright. So we can say bright smiling skulls. The foxes are kicking them playfully, and the skull will roll away. That's what is describing here. Nari Adiya udirum-mayir Udai-undu. Udai is to get kicked. Udai-undu means they got kicked. Avai urula. Urula means to roll away. So the second line, Nari Adiya udirum-mayir Udai-undu Avai urula, means the skulls that were kicked by foxes playfully roll away. That kind of a scene is happening in the cremation ground. In that kind of cremation ground, what is Shiva doing? So in the cremation ground, the ghosts are eating the dead bodies. The foxes are playing with the skulls. And what is Shiva doing? In that cremation ground, Eri Adiya Iraivarku. Eri Adadal means to dance. Adadal here it means to dance. Eri is fire. So Eri Adiya Iraivar is the Shiva who is dancing in the fire in the cremation ground. Shiva who is dancing holding a fire in his hand. So if you look at the Nataraja form, on one of the left hands palms he will be holding fire. So Eri Adiya Iraivar refers to both Shiva who is dancing holding fire in his hand, or Shiva who is dancing in the midst of the funeral pyres that are burning in the cremation ground. That Shiva, Eri Adiya Iraivar, Iraivarku idam. The place of that Shiva is uṇṇāmulai. That Shiva's place is Tiruvannamalai. Now, this Tiruvannamalai is surrounded by gardens and groves where there are a lot of bees buzzing around. That's what is describing in the second half of line 3. Ina vandu isai murala. Vandu is bees. All kinds of bees, right? When you say bee, there are various kinds of bees, right? Honey bee is one of them. There are various kinds of bumblebee, all kinds of bees, right? Various shapes and forms. Ina vandu means, inam is group. So bees, there's a bunch of bees. There's a large number of bees buzzing around. Ina vandu means a lot of bees. Isai murala. Isai is music. Murala means to hum, to sing. So the bees are buzzing around the flowers. And when they buzz around, you hear all kinds of buzzing sounds, right? When they are flying fast, they will hear one sound. When they are hovering around the flower, you will hear another sound. When they go and sit inside the flower, the sound will stop. So there are different bees doing different things at the same time, so it's like a big orchestra going. So that's what he's saying. Iravandi isai murala. That kind of bees are buzzing around. That is where that is the nature of this uṇṇāmulai. And in that uṇṇāmulai, Shiva is dwelling with Uma. And Uma has beautiful eyes. And in those beautiful eyes, there will be red streaks. You know, when you look at an eye, you will see, thin lines of redness. That is what is describing. Ari Adiya Kannal. Ari is the red lines that we have in the eyes. Adiya is to have. Kannal is one who has in the eyes. The woman who has red lines in her eyes. Here it refers to Uma. So Ari Adiya Kannalodum, along with Uma, Shiva is dwelling in Tiruvannamalai. So summary, the ghosts are roaming around in the cremation ground, and the foxes are playing in the cremation ground. In such a cremation ground, Shiva is dancing, and that Shiva, where is he dwelling along with Uma? That place is Tiruvannamalai, that is surrounded by nice groves and gardens. And what should we do? We should worship that Shiva, and then we will be free of our karma, we will be free of illnesses, etc. So Atmarama, you can read the whole verse again.
Karikalana Kodara Kolvana Kaludu Adiya Kattil Nari Adiya yiḻaveṇbiṛai Ureyundu Avai Urula Eri Adiya Iறைவர்க்கு Idam Inavandu Isai Murala Ari Adiya Kannalodum uṇṇāmulai aduve.
Good. There are so we have another 3 minutes left. So if there are any questions, we can discuss on the songs that we have covered today. If not, we will stop here for today's session and continue the remaining songs in the next session. Tiruchitrambalam.